Starting off with Germany first, which faces an unprecedented situation. Talks to form a coalition between Chancellor Angela Merkel's Christian Democrat and Social Alliance, the Greens and the Free Liberal FDP have failed. The FDP walked out of the weekend negotiations nearly 2 months after the election that saw Chancellor Merkel's party emerge the forerunner. Berlin remains without a government. But does this mean another election? WION senior foreign editor Padma Rao breaks it down for you. Take a look.
German President Frank-Walter Steinmeier said building a coalition was no child's play, striking a note of warning even as the three parties slated to form the next government in Berlin went into a weekend huddle. The Social Democrats, who formed the earlier coalition and have declined to repeat it this time, reiterated once again over the same weekend that they were not going to change their minds. And finally, it was all over. The Free Liberals walked out and talks collapsed.
Den Geist des Sondierungspapiers können und wollen wir nicht verantworten. Viele der diskutierten Maßnahmen halten wir sogar für schädlich. Wir werden gezwungen, unsere Grundsätze aufzugeben und all das, wofür wir Jahre gearbeitet haben. Wir werden unsere Wählerinnen und Wähler nicht im Stich lassen, indem wir eine Politik mittragen, von der wir im Kern nicht überzeugt sind. Es ist besser, nicht zu regieren, als falsch zu regieren.
German President Steinmeier has several choices. He is widely expected to urge the three parties at variance with each other to meet yet again and eke out a compromise, come what may. Or the long-standing Social Democrat Steinmeier, though now a neutral head of state, may use his good offices with his old party, which is now in the opposition, to reconsider their stance and look at the idea of going into a coalition with their old partner, Chancellor Angela Merkel, again. President Steinmeier is unlikely to go for the last and final step, but it's there should he need it. He can suggest Angela Merkel as a candidate for the post of Chancellor, since she is the leader of the party that won the maximum number of votes. Miss Merkel would then have to undergo 3 rounds of voting in the German Parliament or Bundestag. She would have to win the first 2 with an absolute majority and the third with even a simple one. If the majority is absolute in all 3 rounds, she can be declared the Chancellor. If it's a simple majority, though, German President Frank-Walter Steinmeier will find himself facing the conundrum he is determined to avoid: name a minority government or announce fresh elections. Either way, it's a choice that the outspoken head of state will do his best to avoid in the name of stability in Europe's largest and most important country. Padma Rao, WION.
Padma Rao, who filed that report, is now joining us live from the newsroom for breaking it down further for our viewers. Padma, what makes the Free Liberals walk out, and does this mean that Germany will remain without a government for some time?
Well, yes, it does seem that way, but on the other hand, we're hearing some very reassuring noises or other words coming from the highest office, the ceremonial office, no doubt, of the President Frank-Walter Steinmeier, who has made it clear and who chose this precise weekend while the talks were being held to reiterate that he is not in favor of seeing either a fresh election or a minority government in place, and that, the natural step, I think, will be for him to urge the CDU-CSU and the Free Democrats, the Liberals, who pulled out of the coalition talks, to go back to the negotiating table and find a compromise. After all, this also sets a bad precedent. Germany is Europe's largest and most powerful economy, and it's the leading country of the European Union. And already there are noises from the other European countries, they're looking quite worried about what's happening in Berlin. So I think the first thing, Chancellor Merkel would have met the President today to formally announce the collapse of the coalition talks, and the next thing that we can expect is for the President to urge the parties to go right back to the negotiating table.
Padma, you of course been closely tracking the coalition talks. What, according to you, have been the key sticking points? What's really holding back this coalition from taking shape?
Well, one key sticking point is, of course, the question of immigration, the question of refugees. Germany has taken on, as you know, the largest number of refugees escaping the wars and the conflicts in the Middle East, much more so than any other country in Europe. Now, the CDU and the CDU component of the CDU-CSU, the CSU, as you know, is the Christian Social Union. That is a party that is only a regional party restricted to Bavaria, and the CDU is the Christian Democrats Union, which is the party, the same party at national level, if you like, headed by Chancellor Angela Merkel. Now, the CDU-CSU is the twin component that rules the country or has ruled the country in a coalition up to now. The CSU, however, they're at variance over the question of refugees. The CSU, the Bavarian Regional Party, does not want any refugees, any more refugees. It wants a cap. The CDU of Angela Merkel certainly wants to, that Germany fulfill its obligations, its moral and historical obligations. That, but the Liberals, again, the Liberals who pulled out, they see it as it's going to be a direct burden on the taxpayer, and it's going to be a burden on the exchequer, and they want to take full advantage of Germany's economy, which is reviving slowly, and take it a step further and take it to the next level. So they have said one of the things that the Liberal party chief said, and you heard him just now, is that they're afraid, or they pulled out because they were afraid that had they compromised and entered the coalition, development would have suffered. Now, by development, of course, a party that favors a free market economy means it's something entirely different than supporting refugees or burdening the taxpayer any more than they already are.
We're going to leave it there for the moment, Padma, but of course this does remain our top focus in our later editions as well. Thank you very much for those details.